In lesson 2-3, we're going to multiply positive and negative fractions. So if we look at the note below, it says simplify before you multiply. And as a hint, we should always look diagonal. So if we have a numerator and a denominator equal to, let's say a numerator 2 and denominator 2, all right, you're always going to look diagonal to see if you can simplify your diagonals. And just remember, what you do to the numerator has to be done to a denominator. All right, so if we look up here, we have 2/3 times 4/5. Yes, you can multiply straight across to get 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 5 is 15, okay? But what you're going to want to do before you multiply is simplify before you multiply. It kind of rhymes a little bit, helps us to remember to do that. You got to remember the word simplify does mean to answer, okay? So when it says simplify, it does want us to answer the question in simplest form. So it's kind of like evaluate or simplify or answer, right, and things like that. They all mean the same thing. All right, so it says find 3/7 times 8/9. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this down. 3/7 times 8/9. All right, and what we need to do here is simplify. Again, we can't do anything with the 3 and the 7 or the 8 and the 9, but I can do the 3 and the 9. So divide this by 3, I get 1. Divide this by 3, I get 3. Okay, again, remember, whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do the denominator. Again, I can kind of check. All right, I can't do anything else. So multiply straight across, and I get 8/21, and now it's simplified, okay? We could have done this before. We would have got 24/63, and then we would have had to work with those big numbers. It's a lot easier to kind of simplify. I realize you can do this in your head, but go ahead and show me the work. Cross it off and show me what it will become. All right, so after you simplify, give me, show me that it became a 1, that it became a 3. All right, so let's copy this down. 2/7 times 8/9. Now you might be thinking, well, the 2 and the 8 can simplify, right? Wrong. We cannot simplify numerators with numerators. We can only simplify numerators with denominators or diagonally numerators with denominators. So here the 7 and the 8 don't work, the 2 and the 9 don't work, the 8 and the 9 don't work, and the 2 and the 7 do not work. So we need to multiply across, and we're going to get 16/63. And since we couldn't simplify here at all, this actually is in simplest form, and we're done. All right, so for this one, you have 3 factors, and all the factors are fractions. You can simplify all the way across the different fractions. So I can actually take the 7 and make it a 1, take this 7, make it a 1. All right, I can take the 2 and make it a 1. I can take the 12 and make it a 6, okay, because I divided both of those by 2. All right, and now I can actually divide the 6 by 2 to get 3, and the 8 by 2 to get 4. So I have a 1, a 1. Once you get to a 1, you can't go any further. So right now I'm just looking to see if I can get rid of this 3, 4, or 9 in any way. I could do the 3 and the 9, however, they are both denominators, so I can't touch those at all. So the only thing on top I have is 1 times 4 times 1, which is 4. And on the bottom I have 1 times 9 times 3. So 9 times 3 is 27, and that is in simplest form. So that got a lot easier than if we were to go like 8 times 7 is 56, times 2 would be 112. Okay, that would have been a lot of work to go ahead and simplify that back down. So you're going to want to simplify before you multiply fractions. Okay? All right, so now we have negatives. All right, so we have -3/4 times 7/12. So you might be thinking, well, can we still do that? Can we still simplify first? Yes, you can. Okay, again, remember, the only thing that we really need to worry about with the negatives is determine whether the answer will be positive or negative. Now, I only have one negative, so I know my answer will be negative. So I can go ahead and write that right down here. I know the 3 and the 12, I can divide both by 3. I'll get 1, and I'll get 4. All right, I can't simplify anything else, so 1 times 7 is 7. 4 times 4 is 16. And I can't simplify that, so negative 7/16 will be my answer. So it's pretty quick and easy to multiply fractions. It's just helpful to simplify your numerators and denominators before you multiply, so you work with smaller numbers and you already get in simplest form. Okay, so let's copy this down. Negative 2 over 15 times 5 over 9. Okay, again, we have one negative, so I know my answer is going to be negative. I'll go ahead and write that down there right away. Divide the 5 by 5 to get 1, divide the 15 by 5, and I'll get 3. I can't simplify denominators with denominators, so I'm as far as I can get. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 9 is 27. All right, and it's negative 2 over 27. That is in simplest form. And so that's as far as I can go. So if you get an assignment here out of the book, it's important that you go ahead and copy this down just like we are, so that way you can show the work and show me how you are simplifying it. All right, now we'll go ahead and copy this. 3 1/5 times 1 3/4. All right, now I know with adding and subtracting fractions, I had a couple different ways to do this, so that way you didn't have to make it an improper fraction if you didn't want to. However, it's really difficult to do this if you don't have improper fractions, because it's almost like the distributive property a little bit. You'd have to do 3 times 1 and 3 times 3/4, and then 1/5 times 1 and 1/5 times 3/4. It ends up being a lot of work. So it's much easier to just, when you multiply, to have improper fractions. So let's do the 3 times 5. That'll be 15, so we got to add 15. So I'm going to have 16 over 5 times, all right, let's do the 1 times 4, and then we got to add the 4. So we get 7/4. All right, so again, copy the original problem out of your book. All right, show me how you're making it an improper fraction. This work right here, show me the work. Then we can simplify, okay? I'm going to divide the 4 by 4, divide the 16 by 4. I can't simplify any further, so I'm going to get 28/5. All right, now it's important, give me the answer in the form it was given to you. So if you look up here, it was given to me as mixed numbers, so I need to answer it as mixed numbers. Now, if they give you problems that have improper fractions, it's okay to give your answer as improper fractions, all right? So give the answer the way it was given to you. So let's go ahead and I'm going to subtract 25. That'll give me 3 left over. All right, this will give me 5 whole with 3/5 left over. All right, they're both positive, so this is my final answer. It'll be a positive answer, 5 3/5. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this down. 3 2/5 times 2 2/9. So I need to get these as improper fractions. So 3 times 5 is 15, so we'll add the 15. I'll get 17/5 times, all right, 2 times 9 is 18. Add the 18 to the numerator, so we'll get 20/9. Now I can simplify right here the 5 and the 20. All right, so the 5 will become 1, the 20 will become 4, and I can't simplify anything else. So 17 times 4 is going to give me, well, the 4 times the 7 is 28, and the 4 times the 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6, and then the 9 times the 1 is 9. All right, so now if I look in my original problem, the problem was given to me as a mixed number, so I want to answer it as a mixed number. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract this by 63, multiple of 9. All right, I'm going to have 5 left over. This 63 is going to give me 7 whole and there's 5 out of 9 left over. It is positive because both of these are positive, so this is my final answer in simplest form. All right, so last summer, the 7th graders performed a total of 250 hours of community service. If the 8th graders spent 1 1/5 this much time volunteering, how many hours of community service did the 8th graders perform? So the 8th graders spent 1 1/5 the amount of time as the 7th graders on community service. So if I think about this, okay, 1 would mean the same amount of time. This extra 1/5 would mean we need to find out what is 1/5 of 250 hours, and that's how much extra the 8th graders did. So let's go ahead and multiply. We're going to take 1 1/5, and we're going to multiply that by 250. Okay, so what we're going to want to do here is get this mixed number into an improper fraction. So 1 times 5 is 5. We add the 5. So we're going to get 6/5. All right. And if we write any whole number as a fraction, you're just going to put it over 1. So 250 over 1. Okay. And the reason that works is 250 divided by 1 is 250. All right. The next step for us is to simplify. All right. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. All right, so 25 divided by 5 is 5 with a 0, so we're going to have 50. All right, we can't simplify any further because both my denominators are 1s, which actually makes it really nice and easy because 6 times 5 is 30. With a 0 would be 300 hours of community service. All right, this is a word problem, so it's really important for us to have a label at the end. All right, and then to just kind of think about it, does that answer make sense? Well, the 7th graders did 250 hours. The 8th graders did 1 1/5 this much. You know, that'd be like, you know, over 100%, because 1 would be like 100%. So 1 1/5, we know it's going to be at least 250 plus some more. So we found out that basically 1/5 was equal to just 50 hours, which that kind of makes sense. You know, if we think about this like in a pie chart here and we split this into fifths, all right, and if we said that each section was 50 hours, you know, 5 times 50, well, that equals 250 hours. Okay, so when we break apart like that, it does make sense. And so if they did 1 1/5 extra, well, that's the extra plus 50 hours. Okay, and then so that would be a total of the 300 hours. So if you did do this problem, something like this, you know, that's fine. You just show me your work, you know, show me the picture. However, we are kind of trying to work on multiplying positive and negative fractions. So I would like you to try and write it as a mixed number and then change to an improper fraction, then simplify, multiply, and give me your label. That is the last example for today's lesson. Be sure to check the Moodle page for your homework. Thanks.